Hello everyone. Just bear with me while I set up a few things and make sure the stream's working. Excellent. Okay, good stuff. While I'm waiting for people to roll in, I'm just gonna jam for a few minutes, get into the mood. Stranded in the spooky town, stoplights are swaying and the phone lines are down. This floor is crackling cold. She took my heart, I think she took my soul. With the moonlight roll, far from this carnage of the fiery sun. And it's coming closer, driven by the strangle of pain, showing no mercy. I'll do it again. Oh, open up your eye. You'll keep on crying, baby. I'll bleed you dry. These skies, they blink at me. I see the storm bubbling up from the sea. Oh, 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 and it's coming closer. Oh, and it's coming closer. You shame, you shook my bones, leaving me stranded all in love on my own. Do you think of me? Where am I now? And baby, where do I sleep? It feels so good, but I'm all these 2,000 years of chasing's taking its toll. Oh, oh, and it's coming closer. Oh, and it's coming closer. Cool. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little cover of Kings of Leon. Yeah, the more I think about the lyrics to that song, it's a song I've kind of always sung because it's easy and it's fun, it's got a good range. But the more I listen to the lyrics, the more I realize I think that guy may know something we don't know. What is coming closer? Well, guys, it's like I have a few people in today, which is great. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. I'm not really going to do a crazy intro where I read something or play a video or something like that. I have a very short intro because I want to talk about one of the most popular things I've done on my YouTube, which is the are related to modern day clown symbolism. Such a bizarre concept. Not something when I originally went into it I thought would roll so far and become what it had. But it's one of those subjects that when you really start to dig deep, more and more confirmations just come flooding in, one after the other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you all my research, all my collected pictures, a few things I have in mind to direct my next videos. And we'll just talk through the images on a screen share soon. And I'm hoping you guys can get involved in the chat as well. And maybe say what you think here and there, throw in your own opinions and ideas on just what it is we're looking at. Maybe there's some connections you can see, I don't see. And at the end of the day, guys, this is a team effort. You know, I'm only bringing to you what I can find, but many people have helped me see things I have missed. I haven't seen every film. I haven't listened to every song. I haven't seen everything, you know. So it's all about perspective. And I want to bring more perspectives to this idea. But to open up, I think it's fair to show you guys just where I first found my information on this type of concept. Now, I've explained in one of my first videos about this that I had a vision of some kind 2 years ago. I was just laid in bed, and for some reason, just slam, a high-pitched ring went off, a crack in the center of my brain, and this hum. And for about 10 seconds, I was looking at this giant jester, which was black and white lined with purple lips, purple tones to it, glowing purple. And it was so large, as I looked up at this thing, I could see things whizzing around it, but they were conscious, they could move, they weren't in orbit or anything. It's almost like they were golden vehicles of some kind, with golden pointed, teardrop shaped vehicles. That's the way I can describe it, kind of whizzing around this giant jester, which was just stood there quite regal, not looking at me, just looking straight like a statue of some kind. But it was the focal points, and it had the jester horns, as we know them, the typical horns a jester would have with the bells on the end. But it was just shaped like that. It didn't have a hat on or some kind of crazy clothing. Its mouth was wide and slit, kind of like a slit. And it was the most craziest thing I've ever seen. And then bam, I was just back in my bed again thinking, what the hell was that? Mind blown. But I actually just forgot about it as time went on, because you have to work, you have to get back into the world in some way to earn money and earn a living, all these type of things, and life gets in the way, and you just push it to the back of your mind. And I thought it was just another one of those weird occurrences that happen in my life quite regularly, probably nothing important. But then the creepy clown sightings began to happen, and all over the world, mainly in the Western world, of course, we had people just standing on street corners wearing clown costumes, looking as creepy as they possibly could, just to scare people, really, because it's not exactly breaking the law. It's a grey area, but it's definitely scared the hell out of people. And then these clowns started to become violent, carrying around knives in forests and carrying sledgehammers on roads, and just scaring people, being menacing and all around threatening. And I was thinking about this whole thing, clowns. Why clowns? Why would the mainstream media even bother to kind of push this narrative? It's just silly. And if the mainstream media is talking about it, there must be some kind of agenda behind this. What does a clown mean? And it's a very strange question. I mean, I'm not sure why I was thinking these things, or why I would even bother to question, what does a clown mean? It's just such a bizarre thought process. But I knew I had to do this. And I remembered, Nephilim, demons. If we're talking about demons, the demons are the Nephilim, disembodied spirits of the giants of the past. Now, if these monsters, or what we call clowns, are demonic in some way, then there must be a connection between the Nephilim and clowns. So I went to YouTube and I decided, you know what, I'll see if anyone's made this connection before. And you know what? There was one video. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys now. And I'm going to show you the video I found. Now, this person is not actually a believer of everything I've just said. He was actually taking the piss out of the concept that the Nephilim are linked to clowns. He was trying to make a joke, out of the Nephilim concept. Ironically enough, with his gesturing, joking attitude, he revealed more truth than even he actually understood. So I went deeper into it and found actually this guy was right. I'm not sure if this person's a shill. I don't want to accuse anything. I think he may have just been trying to make a joke. But it's thanks to this guy making this joke which led me to think actually this guy is passing up a great opportunity to reveal something that's probably quite esoteric and deep. So guys, if I can just quickly screen share here with you. There we go. Sorry for the echo effect. And then I bring across to the video if I can find it. Here we go. So this is the channel. This is the Epic Conspiracy. And if we just get a bit of context, because you know what, this guy has 12 subscribers. This video alone has 261 views. It was made about a year ago, a few months before I made my series, which is probably made around the same time I was having my weird visions and thoughts. You know, I'm starting to think maybe on all this, all glory to God. I think he was trying to actually send me a real message. Sorry, just get rid of this a second. But of course, he made this video, New Evidence, the Nephilim are interdimensional killer clowns. So let's just have a listen to this, guys.
The Nephilim. Genesis 6:4 says that there were giants in the earth in those days, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. Anthropological and archaeological research seems to unequivocally support the idea that these giants roamed the earth at some point. But just who they really were has been a topic of contention for decades. Some believe that they were demons. Some believe that they were warrior-angel hybrids. Some even believe that they may have been evolutionary throwbacks. The problem is, they're all wrong. Modern research shows us that there is consistency in their description. Pale skin, red hair, sharpened rows of teeth, and misshapen skulls. Our research has concluded this to mean only one thing. The Nephilim were trans-dimensional killer clown beasts. A cross-comparison of their appearance concludes that this is the only and purely logical explanation. Understanding this part of the equation makes other elements far more clear. Stephen King, who communicates with other dimensions through the use of a famed and cursed typewriter, attempted to warn us of the interdimensional clown beasts in his novel, It. In the novel, an interdimensional clown returns to Earth to feed on children. He refers to himself as old as time and as the eater of worlds. And that sounds exactly like something a Nephilim would say. To further illuminate this sinister piece of our history, High Priest of the Order of the Sons of the Fallen, a Nephilim worship cult, was none other than Bozo the Clown, who tricked the world's children into engaging in clown worship with his show, Bozo Circus, for over 40 years. The show itself advocated sinister paganistic rituals, such as sled riding, petting baby elephants, tree. It's time for the world to know that the Nephilim, as outlined in the Bible's Genesis, are actually killer clown beasts hell-bent on swallowing our souls. It's time for the slave masters to know that we're not as gullible as they think.
Yeah, so as you can see, you know, he wasn't serious. He didn't actually mean anything he was saying. He was trying to make a joke out of the concept, you know, that the Nephilim seem to have some strange parallels to clowns. And what are clowns but supposed to be a giant joke? You know? So I could see why he would do that. But I saw in what he was saying, actually, you know, there's a lot more here than I think he can see or understand. Mocking attitude to life. I imagine his heart is probably hardened, and he's probably a little bit spiritually blind anyway. So I went into it myself, and I started a folder, and I wanted to compile as much as I could in relation to this guy. So let me just double check that my right good stuff. It looks like it is. So yeah, where to begin? You know, I've got a treasure trove here of things we could talk about. I mean, really. So let's look at films, because that's something, you know, a lot of people in the conspiracy world like to always reference in order to show the symbols that are embedded in the films, trying to brainwash us or indoctrinate us with certain symbolisms. So let's just go through these images one at a time, I suppose, and talk about it. So here we go. We have the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Now, what is Alice in Wonderland but a phantasmic story of a girl who falls down the rabbit hole into another dimension, a very colorful, psychedelic, trippy dimension, where these clown-like, bizarre, human chimera hybrid entities live. Now, if that does not sum up what the Nephilim, I don't know what does. And obviously here we have the clown-like archetypal imagery shown within the Queen of Hearts. The wild, large head, like a giant, large features, the large red hair, pale white skin. The blue eye shade, which I'll show later, is actually Nephilim who did have bright blue eyes. So that's one thing. If we keep going along, we have these two twins. Now, one reoccurring theme that is always worth mentioning, which we'll obviously cover over and over again in this talk, is the black and white stripes. This symbol always appears with clowns. Also, I find it interesting, the same black and white stripes is symbolic of a prisoner as well, or a thief, or a burglar, or an escaped convict. That stereotypical image. Burglar, for example, in McDonald's. And obviously that's something, a negative image, a negative character, a thief, something that someone who deserves to be in prison or is in prison. The Nephilim themselves, bodiless in the fractal psychedelic spiritual realm they're in, prison of some kind. So maybe that is a direct spiritual manifestation in the physical, something to bear in mind. But yeah, here we have these bizarre Tweedledum, and we have the rabbit, a very common occult symbol, but it's a human-like rabbit. It's a rabbit with human features. And we understand, you know, after the original Nephilim were born and died off, the fallen angels came down to man again and decided, okay, well, we'll make men turn themselves into Nephilim. And that's when a lot of genetic chimera, half-human, half-animal hybrids appeared. And those half-human, half-animal hybrids are in this psychedelic realm right here. Maybe they're trying to show us something. The Cheshire Cat, massive recurring theme as we go on here as well, within the demons that are in this realm. The large blue turquoise eyes with a reptilian slit, the big teethy wide jester-like grin, covered in fur. Now forget that it is a cat symbolically. Typical features I just mentioned are Nephilim traits. So bear that in mind. Here's the Mad Hatter, another Mad Hatter. The Hat Man is another reoccurring theme in this whole research into demonology and their image and their looks. Again, pale white skin, wild red hair, and wearing psychedelic, colorful clothing. Thing with clowns as well. The clothing is always so psychedelic. What is it they're trying to say with that? All pattern and form, no real substance or structure in the way they are designed in the clothing. Now that's exactly how they are in their spirit forms. If you've done things like DMT or any form of psychedelic, the kaleidoscopic type patterns you see in that realm, I think, are symbolic on the clown clothing of the realm these entities currently dwell in their spirit form. I think that's why the clowns also wear such psychedelic clothes. Now, this is from Attack on Titan. This is something in modern media right now that is really popular with young people. It's an anime cartoon where the last bastion of humanity that had been wiped out by giants are living within the confines of a walled kingdom. A titan appears, which is big enough to kick down the wall and flood them with smaller titans. These giants body, and it's a very dramatic show, to say the least. Very hopeless, very nihilistic. The humans don't really stand a chance, and it's brutal to watch. But the giants in there seem to have odd-shaped bodies, very bizarre forms. So even though we can't say they are clown-like, other than their wide grin smile they seem to always have, and relatively pointy features. One thing that's notable is that whenever a titan appears, a bolt of lightning comes from the sky, and we understand that Lucifer falls from heaven like lightning, implying there's a spiritual reason as to why these giants have appeared on the earth. The show has not yet made that clear, so that's something to bear in mind as I go through this too. Here's an example of the titans coming in, and look at how insane they look. I think it's theorized that these are humans who have been forced to become giants. Perhaps some of them choose to be, but it's kind of torment for them. So they have a very weird face while killing all these humans. It's very disturbing. There are some humans who are discovering that they can turn into titans So some form of genetic engineering has taken place here, just like as it was in the days of Noah. So again, I think the creator of this Attack on Titan knows that maybe he's not quite telling us. So yeah, coming back to this, then we have Beetlejuice. Remember this film? So this is another reference to, if you look at the cover here, we have a giant on top of a house. So referencing the Nephilim giants of the past. He has pale skin, blue eyeshadow around his eyes. From the looks of this, maybe it's black. I could be wrong. But either way, he has wild, crazy colored hair as well, just like the Nephilim of the past. So here he's not meant to look like a clown. We'll call it more of a ghoul. Is there really a difference between a ghost, a Nephilim, a demon, a clown, a ghoul? I think they're all connected. Black and white pinstripe pattern appears once again, perhaps showing the dualistic psychedelic realm. Here's the checkerboard black and white floorboard on the floor here, again showing this dualistic principled world they live in. The two pillars as well of Jachin and Boaz, in which the ancient knowledge the Freemasons believe was inscribed on, given to them by the fallen angels. The very knowledge which gives mankind the ability to transform themselves to become godlike, like Nephilim. It makes sense that these things would all be encompassed in this image. So we get to the Hunger Games. This is something in another film. Obviously, we have the people in the Capitol wear this wild jester-like psychedelic clothing and clown-like makeup. 12 districts, 12 looks, one exquisite collection, choose your district. And here, this is a futuristic dystopic future, you know, where there's an ultra-rich class surrounded by 12 districts of ultra-poverty, and the minority of wealth and luxury, while the poor live in slavery, basically. But these people that take their fashion extremely seriously to the point where they're manifesting the most outrageous looks to try and have more shock value. Is this perhaps another example of a world run by the demonic entities? A world where everyone's inspired by them? I think there's more of a reference here than we think, as you can see. And this is something I've not mentioned in the series yet, but do you remember the Cenobites from Hellraiser? Have to play with this cube, or some of them want to, some of them don't realize what they're messing with. But the idea is, once you unlock the cube, the gates of hell open and these things come for you, torture you, torment you, and then take you with them. And a lot of them have pale white skin, you know, and clownish-like features. Here we go again. These things, this was from the 5th Hellraiser, Inferno. It was quite different from the rest, a lot more disturbing, less gory, more atmospheric. And in this one, they had these reoccurring characters here, this half-human body that would crawl on the floor. But look at their skin, it's porcelain white, and as well, you know. And this guy has his mouth splayed open, a lot like a clown with the teeth showing, you know. Very disturbing, very trippy. But again, we see this demonic white skin, red-featured monster with a wide grin appearing again. Guys, I'm showing you these things because we're trying to get a glimpse of what do the demons actually look like. You know, what are we dealing with? What is our enemy? We have to know, and when we see them, what we're actually dealing with. And this is from the Crooked Man from The Conjuring 2. This is another character, and with the hat and the pinstriped suit, a lot like Beetlejuice or the Mad Hatter. Seems like this hat character is a very reoccurring demonic figure. And this one has pale white skin, as you can see, and a big wide grin with sharp teeth. Conceptual idea of him. But the wide grin, the white skin, the weird clothing or suit of some kind with many colors is always present. It relates to a specific leader of demons. Hatman and his posse. That's how it always seems to be presented. Perhaps the Hatman could be symbolic of the humans on Earth, those who work with demons. On that topic, something I came up with here earlier, I was thinking about this, the Hatman and his reoccurring theme. And I was thinking of Oompa Loompas, funnily enough, from Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory. Now, Willy Wonka, obviously, WW, if you turn that on its side, it's 33, which is a Freemasonic thing. You know, it's a thing they do in Freemason with the levels. Now, if Willy Wonka is a Freemason and he works with these miniature, bizarre, clown-like entities to help him run his wonderful business, which makes him a billionaire, is that what it's trying to tell us here? The Hat Man works with all his demons to create an empire on Earth, you know, power for deals, I suppose. Maybe that's what it means. Just an idea, guys, just an idea. But again, we see the Hat Man with clown-like entities, reoccurring archetypical figures. And while we're on this, obviously, I think the Oompa Loompas were mimicked by the Minions as well. I think there's something to be said here for the bizarre coloured skin, you know, the strange elongated features, the one-eyed symbolism here, of course, as well. Now, these things are always aimed at children. It's always to do with the children. And what do clowns do but supposedly entertain children, you know? Like, for example, do you remember Snoop Dogg's video, Lavender, Bad, Bad, Not Good, this remix he did where people were dressed like clowns in this world? Everyone was dressed like a clown. And the man gets shot, and, you know, it's seen as police brutality type of thing. And he made a whole scene at the end where he shot Donald Trump. But there's a scene in this whole clown-related, sat on this throne of some kind. And if I can get the image of what's just behind him when he's on this throne. I may have just missed it. Sorry, I had it a second ago. Obviously, a terrible song. I won't recommend it to anybody. Here we go. So you can see this in the background on his throne quickly there. It's two sabers crossed over with a palm tree in the middle. This is actually a symbol for is the Islamic Brotherhood, I believe. Well, they have the Islamic Brotherhood does have the two sabers over here with the Quran at the top, but also it's the symbol for Saudi Arabia. It's on their currency. So here's Snoop Dogg with sitting on a throne of some kind with the Islamic saber in the background on his throne, you know, the symbol for Saudi Arabia. Then I got thinking, what's this got to do with clowns? And I remembered, well, of course, Shriners, who are known to be Islamic. Their symbol is the saber over a crescent moon and star. That's the logo for the Shriners. Well, they like to dress up as clowns. Here's their website, International Shrine Clown Association. There's the Islamic logo going in the background. So we have something related to Islam, clowns, or as we know them to be demons, and a secret society offshoot of Freemasonry who have an allegiance to the Quran, who also dress up as clowns quite regularly. So, you know, if we go back here to pictures, Shriners, clowns, they go to hospitals to entertain the children and things like this. It's all like a charity gig to these guys. Here they're all wearing their red noses, you know, wearing their Muslim fezzes. But also here's them in the posses dressing up as clowns to go do charity to children. Are these people who we know within these secret cults, serpent cults, worship the Nephilim gods of the past? Are they just literally revering the Nephilim right in front of us, you know, right in front of our eyes, and we think it's just a big joke and they're trying to entertain the children? When they know they are actually venerating their gods and making children venerate their gods too. Very disturbing concepts when you start to just swim in this idea of the Nephilim demons and clowns. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. So we'll go back to some pictures here. Sorry, I just opened Spotify by accident there. Yeah, we're at the Crooked Man. Just close this. So we keep moving along, if it would let me. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. Yeah, there was this other scene in someone sent me this. There's a film called Real Men. I haven't actually seen it. There's a scene where the CIA have come to take these guys out, but the CIA are all dressed like clowns. And that's really the whole scene in this, as a fight in this alleyway. I find it interesting that they link this the CIA to clowns as well in some way. The film, oh God, I can't know. The House of the Dead. That's it. This is where this clown comes from. And the house, was it the House of a Thousand Corpses? Sorry, guys. And then The Devil's Rejects was the second film that came from this. Obviously, it comes from the idea that this family of psychopaths have some sort of clown-themed symbolism going through their world, and they are murderers and worshippers of the devil. So again, the clown's related directly to this worshipping of the devil. House of a Thousand Corpses, a Rob Zombie film. Here's the scene from Real Men where the clowns were defeated, or I'm not sure how they died. I can't remember. So again, we had in the Dark Knight with the Joker himself, of course, you know, Batman's ultimate enemy in this idea. But there was an opening scene, we thank Jesse Spots for telling me this one, where there's a bank heist, a bank robbery, and all these men come in wearing clown masks, complete their tasks they were individually there to do, and then the person who's with them takes them out until eventually there's no one left but the Joker himself. So the idea is that, you know, these demons are, if there's a symbolism behind this, is that demons are willing to make it look like they're fighting one another to accomplish their goals in some way, shape, or form. Or the idea that the demonic clown kind of the spirit of a demon, possesses these people to become killers or murderers so flippantly, perhaps. And of course, the Joker, the jester, here he is in a more classic term, is the Hat Man. He's this higher-ranking demon, the Hat Man demon of some kind, wearing his pinstripe suit. Seen from the video game based on Jack Nicholson, I think this one is. Right, so here's something from a Russian book called Master and Margarita. Because I had a dream or an image in a dream in the past where I saw the Hat Man. And if you're interested, you can go onto my channel. And there's a whole video called The Hat Man. Encounter the Hat Man. And my dream where I was encountered this entity was me walking through a park. And I encountered a bunch of dead relatives drinking tea, so I joined them. And then while having fun with all these dead relatives, I had a phone call. And it was a voice telling me, you know, don't think I forgot about our deal. You know, I'm coming for you now. And I was terrified because then I remembered, this is someone I met in another dream. So while within this dream, I had remembered another dream I had had where I had met this person on the other end of the phone. And then suddenly I was in a festival. It was like loud music, flashing lights, like a carnival of some kind, an epic carnival. And people were screaming and wailing, sounded like a party, but maybe they're actually in pain. I'm not even sure anymore the more I think about this. But then I came back to this park I was dreaming in, and I realized all these people are dead. These people are all dead in my life, and yeah, I'm drinking tea with them. I hadn't consciously clocked that they were dead at the time until I had the phone call. So I tried to run, and I ran behind me through this metal fence, archwayed entrance to a maze garden, this square maze garden. And there were people just chilling in there on benches, but I realized, you know, I have to keep moving because this guy's following me, whoever's on the phone, because I started to see him come over the horizon, you see. So I thought, let's get out of here before he gets any closer. Then by the time I got to the other side of the maze garden, by just hopping over the whole maze, because it wasn't very high, it was like up to my waist, this maze. It was like a miniature maze, so I just kind of stepped over the whole thing. When I got to the other side, out the other gate, I was on a Russian street. All the signs were in Cyrillic Russian. Very bizarre. So I started to run down the road, and the road kind of just peeled away in front of me like paper. So it was just a drop. So I stopped dead. And I knew the guy was behind me. And, you know, it was this Hat Man figure with a cane. And the whole thing's in this video. You know, you can go check it out on my channel. And it's a bizarre experience, but I started to think way afterwards, like, why Russian? What's this got to do with anything? And I found something. Hopefully I've got the picture here. Here it is. And I found this sign in Cyrillic Russian that showed the Hat Man guy, this black shadowy Hat Man figure with a cane, the exact character that had come to my dream. with no prior knowledge at all to this book called Master and Margarita, which is kind of like a cherished story in Russia. So in this park, because there's a scene in the book where the devil, who is the Hat Man, comes to Russia in this park. In this park is this sign, you know, making a joke about the book because it was set in this particular park in Russia. And my dream was set in a park in Russia where the Hat Man came to me. So very bizarre. I didn't know any of this until I bothered to look into just connecting parks, Russian, Hat Man, and this came up. You know, it was very, very bizarre. But then it came onto this whole book, and it's about the devil, basically. It comes with this gang, the behemoth cat. Think back to the Cheshire Cat, you know, and this lanky, tall character who's considered like a Slender Man type character who we know has white skin, wears a pinstripe suit, and comes after children. You know, and this behemoth cat, it's kind of like a smooth-talking gangster who's incredibly violent and likes to decapitate people. The cat has these reptilian eyes, you know, so I'm thinking there's a connection here somehow. So the Hat Man could be linked to Morris dancers as well. Morris dancers wear these psychedelic clothing. We usually wear bizarre hats, ribbons as well, which is another feature of my vision of this Hat Man when I saw him. There was flowing ribbons everywhere of multicolours coming off his body. And I do wonder, is the ancient the Morris dancers, are they in some way venerating the Nephilim of the past, just like all other ancient cultures, which I'll try and get into soon as well. We'll go through ancient cultures. But we look into this and look at them wearing the black and white fractaled patterns with the ribbons, flowing multicolored ribbons all over their bodies, as though they're kind of ghost-like, blowing in the breeze, not as physical, you know, and they make a lot of noise, wear a lot of bells. Now, if these entities are now disembodied, then all they really are is light and sound now. That's how they can manifest in any way. They don't have a body. They have no embodiments for their color and light and energy and spirit. They want your body. But look at the Hat Man feature. The hat's there as well. Is this what the Hat Man's related to? Could this be related? You know, here they are, wearing their feathers in their hats as well. You know, no one really knows where Morris dancing comes from. There's theories and ideas, but realistically, it's just tradition. You know, we don't know, it's just tradition. We just do this, you know. So I find it interesting that they don't even know where it comes from. I think I may be onto figuring out just what this all represents, because these people look just like the same people in Africa who wear their crazy headdresses, and we'll get onto that soon as well. I can't remember the name of this film, but it's the one with the pan goat in it. I've lost the name off the top of my head while I'm doing this. But within this film, of course, if you remember, it had these fairies in them. And fairies are Nephilim too. They're genetically modified humans. They can be large or small. So that's a Nephilim. And they have insectoid figures, so the half animal, half human type hybrids. So the Nephilim are within this too. And we have this character, of course, within this Pan's Labyrinth, I think it was called. That's right. And it has its pale white skin. It eats children. You know, it's a cannibal, and it's very Nephilim-like in nature and clown-like. And of course, who can forget Stephen King's It? And It, you know, Stephen King's It. This is if we can cut to the chase of what it actually is, it's actually a spider demon. They encounter it in the cave in its spider form. When it manifests as a human, it chooses to be in this clown form. And I find it fascinating because if you've ever seen Spawn, see if I can get it up here, or if it's already here, if I'm lucky. Yeah, if you look into Spawn, there's this monster called the Violator, I think, and is a paedophile spider-like demon. But when it takes its form in human form, it's this short, fat clown wearing black and white clothes. You know, so again, a typical archetypical image that seems to reoccur all the time in symbolism of these demons. So It was a spider demon that had a clown form who went after children, and here we have the Violator demon who has its spider form, who is a paedophile demon who goes after children. Were they inspired by one another? I'm not sure, but I think what it is the creator of these things, the artist, is channeling these entities, and these entities are then venerated in their artwork, knowingly or not. These coincidences seem supernatural to me. I think this is Poltergeist. I can't quite remember, but again, we have this crescent moon with a star hat wearing, so an Islamic reference there. Clown, which has long limbs, long appendages, like a giant, with wild red hair. So I think we have another link there. And of course, they're remaking it now as well, if you've noticed. So this, why bother? Is all I'm saying. This long story. Why bother to remake it? What was with this clown obsession within, 2016? What was this obsession with clowns all of a sudden? Maybe they're trying to tell us something. Maybe the reason the mainstream media is was shoving it down our throats. Clowns are appearing in the streets and scaring people. Was it trying to get us ready for when these things actually do start appearing and coming back? To get us ready for the idea of clowns just turning up, jesters, just appearing in our vision. When maybe they fake their alien invasion, or maybe if CERN manages to crack open the veil and reveal what's here in the physical form. Is it predictive programming of some kind? Were they testing the waters perhaps with the creepy clown sightings? Who knows? Yeah, there's the spider form of it, in the film. There's this human form. And then, of course, we have the Violator, its spider form, its human form. Right, so that's all I've got in my folder for films, but the fun's not over there. We have plenty more to go through. Let's go through ancient culture. This one's fascinating. Right, there's no easy way to go through these. All I can do is kind of give you, again, like a shotgun blast kind of overview of the whole thing, so you can kind of put the picture together yourself. But obviously in ancient Hindu religions, we have these half human, half animal chimera hybrid statues all over the place. Think of Ganesha, the half man, half elephant thing, god. We'll call it an abomination. We have symbols of the feathered serpents. Now, I've actually done a video recently on the feathered serpents. It's one of my recent videos in the clown series, because I thought I should probably hammer home the point of where do these things actually come from, and why did they have such crazy features? Well, it's because their parents were seraphim, and they were serpent-like in nature. According to all the ancient descriptions, they were feathered serpents. And if these feathered serpent-like, with all these crazy colors, are merging themselves with humans or mating with humans and having offspring in the physical form, you can expect them to look incredibly colorful and psychedelic, perhaps covered in feathers and or hair, multiple colors and psychedelic patterns, because a snake is a psychedelic thing, And all ancient cultures use this feathered serpent motif of Quetzalcoatl, this god of the past. He is in the Mayan culture, in other cultures. They use these feathers. There's Quetzalcoatl himself. In Venetian culture, they have this jester-like mask, more of a which is white skin and psychedelic patterns and colors, as though it's kind of manifesting out of the psychedelic patterns and colors within its image here, as you can see. Having African cultures, they always look like our modern day Morris dancers, if you understand. They are renovating what seems to be the same thing. They wear these psychedelic colors and feathers, paint their skin white and multicolors, a lot like a jester of the Venetian masks, There's something going on here. All these painters venerate these demons. They're kind of their gods, It's not a joke either, because they work with them, they sacrifice to them, they hurt themselves to these demons for power. Now again, this feathered look here, this wild image with the long draping dreadlock ribbon style imagery. Now this one's fascinating. Recently I got a comment, because if you look at this here, this is Africa. This is some African culture in Papua New Guinea, actually. So it's the Papua New Guinea culture thing. And this entity with black and white patterns with spiral psychedelic eyes and a big wide white grin, as you can kind of see here, with these feathers coming out of them, and this effect here out of and hay. We've seen this before, guys, and someone left a comment, and I want to give them the credit here if I can find it. We'll just close that, and I think it's around here somewhere. Can't seem to find it, guys. I will, though. I have the time. What's the rush, eh? 1 second. Come on. Here we go. It was C. Dizzy. So thanks for this comment. But he made a very, very valid point in regards to what we just showed there. Similar from what we've... Trippy. Okay, so what he says is, the picture of the African Jesters entities, spirits, look very much like twirling creatures that were featured in the Gotthard Tunnel production in the Netherlands. So these things here. These creatures came out and danced around looking like big balls of straw. So weird. They looked very similar to the two featured at 416, which is what I just showed you there. It makes me wonder if this is hidden, if this hidden exclusive network of Satanists is bringing these things out, have seen these creatures and are ritually encountering them. So basically, this is what they actually look like, and this is what the elites know them to look like. And I said, yeah, no, I think you're onto something. And he said the straw could be a reference to light, orbs of swirling energy. It's difficult to depict orbs in a stage production and dancing balls of light. In witchcraft, straw has alchemical properties as well. But I'm just guessing here. If they used straw, they must have had a reason. It was very deliberate. So I got the Gotthard tunnel ritual here, and I got up to that point exactly which he was talking about. So let's have a quick look at this. I sped it up a bit. We'll turn that horrible music off. Yeah, this thing came out. This angel came out here. Androgynous female, male, large-headed monster. And then this train comes out. Here's people entangled in some kind of fractal mess. This man banging his chains around, bound in chains, like some of the fallen angels are who mated with humans originally. Look at these people. Who do they think they are? Madness. They can make such a public display of their worship of these Nephilim gods, and people are just clueless. Anyway, here comes this other thing, loaded with the straw beasts after this abomination does its whatever it's doing. They come with the Baphomet goat figure kind of leading them. He's wearing his bizarre suit as well, his black and white suit. And here they go, these balls of fur. Is this reminiscent to what we were talking about here that they do in the African culture as well? Yeah, very strange. I mean, we could watch this. I'm not going to go through the whole hour, but some of the creatures that turn up in this thing are unbelievable, you know. Very clownish, very multicolored, very psychedelic, very fractaled in nature. The satanic ritual there with the lamb. Half human, half animal hybrids. Of course, above ground, they had their ritual as well, where these things came out to play after opening some kind of bizarre portal on the screen in the background. Here we go, the iris, the eye, and out of the eye comes these ghouls, these ghosts, these spirits. 3 unclean spirits, it seems, you know, whirling out of their fractaled matrix. And of course, this is probably a CERN ritual. CERN is aiming to open the door. These look like Morris dancer-like figures, a very European image. Black, red, and white colored clothes, sounding the horn. Black, red, and white are the colors of Satanism. And sound frequency and all that type of stuff is a very magic in the science the secret societies believe they hold. Look at these entities, very, very bizarre. A lot of money behind this. Let's see what else we've got here. What a mess. What were these people thinking? I hope they got paid enough for this. For creating this crap. Characters here. You know, we have the polka dot black and patterns, like a clown with the wild, bushy, crazy, straw-like hair. You know, half human, half animal, whatever this is. You know, very clownish-like entities with these black and with these striped jokers, jester-like, very clown-like. If you just pass that as a glance, you know, you would probably think it was just a bunch of clowns if you hadn't focused on what the image was. I think they're trying to tell us something, guys. I think we're genuinely onto something. The person who made that original mocking video a year ago didn't even realize what he was talking about. Yeah, so I'm doing the best I can to try and uncover this. Let's carry on looking at some of these ancient culture pictures anyway. Yeah, that's a nice link there. Thanks, C. Dizzy, for bringing that up. Keep going back here. More of it, more of the same. And continent, of course. Leprechauns. You know, I thought we'd throw them in there. It's not much different than the Oompa Loompa or, you know, the minion, the gremlin, the goblin. He is a Hatman figure as well with his psychedelic pinstripe suit. Swiss Guard. Speaking of the Gothard Tunnel, you know, the Swiss Guard for the Romans as well. Look at the clothes, man, and look at the psychedelic red hair that comes out of their elongated skulled hat. You know, I think they're trying to tell us something here, guys. The multicolors are a reference to serpent skin as well, because these, if the fathers were feathered serpents, the offspring also must have had serpent-like features. And if serpent skin can be multicolors, if you look at a serpent skin, it's crazy, and the colors that come out, maybe they had multicolored skin as well. You know, maybe there's been many different types of Nephilim, or maybe I'm wrong on that, and it could literally just be representing their spirit form now while they're in the fractaled matrix. You know, so we have this army here defending the Pope, clearly representing, venerating, therefore maybe being an open vessel for the very demonic spirits bodies and serve the Pope. You know, just speculating, guys. So yeah, geishas, this is another thing that I thought about as well. Geishas are known to have pale white skin, make the hair look like the head is larger than it actually is, very ghost-like, ghoul-like, spirit-like in nature, clown-like, you know, same features, same archetypal imagery across the world. I found it interesting, I saw this statue of a geisha here, you know, and the male version of a geisha as well, which is a hat man with a cane, funnily enough. Figure here, and of course I found some artwork of someone drawing the jester entities they see while they're on DMT. You know, that's another aspect we might as well throw into here while we're onto it. People see jesters when they take DMT trips. One of my episodes about it shows Joe Rogan promoting the idea. And these jesters will always mock, ridicule, mess with, jump in and out of, and swear at, you know, anyone who comes into their realm. Some of them, you know, literally look like jesters. That's how they describe, like clowns and jesters. And this is someone kind of interpreting that from what they've probably seen on one of their trips. Look at this thing, you know, white skin, long neck, like a serpent, like pointy features, you know, clown-like, serpent-like features, multicolored skin and patterns. Here's the black and white fractal lines in the Heyoka tribe's jester being, or jester, the man dresses up as, holding his feathers with his horned antennae. The black and white pattern, reoccurring theme in this ancient culture. Theme whenever clowns and jesters are represented. Why do you think women do things like this, you know, or even crush their skulls to make them look like they're longer? It's to venerate something. It's to worship something. It's to realization of something you see as a higher form of beauty and power. You know, like white people copy what celebrities wear for the same reasons. These women were trying to make their necks longer for the same reason that these things did have long serpent-like necks, longer than human, you know. I believe this is in Bulgaria, the Kukeri folklore. And look at these entities they're representing. They are entities of light, multicolored, fractal prism, the prism light color spectrum represented. Whitish, you know, white is the absence of color. So these things are bodiless. I think that's why white is a very prevalent symbol as well. And clownish-like features, a long pointy red nose, multicolored feathered-like weird features, you know, and the bells, the reference to sound, that these things are beings of light and sound now, bodiless. The Wadabe tribe ritual, the women dressed like this. Come and get us, boys. Jesus. Yeah, you know, it's the red fluff here, the red hair motif. It's always prevalent as well. So yeah, archetypal imagery, all connected. Demons look like clowns, guys, and they're still worshipped today, and always have been. Face all the time. You know, these people look just like the Morris dancers of Europe. You know, basically what we saw earlier, the same effect. Look at these things. Let's get a zoom in on this. Look at them. Terrifying, psychedelic, fractal, you know, bizarre beings. This reminds me actually of a character from Final Fantasy IX. If you've ever played that, the fat, white, ghoulish looking thing that would always eat. In fact, while we're at it, let's get it up, guys. Let's get it up. So, Final Fantasy IX. Characters. Even Final Fantasy IX, you know, isn't it? It's that's full of it. It's a Kinokuen, all right. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this thing. And he would eat all the time. Yeah, what I'm seeing here in this is supposed to be a chef, you know. Reminds me a lot of what we were just looking at there. These things. Especially this one. You know, but we're talking about bodiless beings of light and energy now and sound. So when we manage to get into a state where we can visually see them, they'd probably look something like this. What most a Westerner would say, a clown or a jester. You know, this multicolored human-like thing, this entity. You know, so when I say they look like clowns, try and understand the nuance I'm putting into that. You know, there's none of this. There's a slight hint of metaphor and simile here, but yes, a clown is symbolic of these things in a more juvenile, simplified form. You know, so the Africans see them in much high def image than we do. Look at the colors and the intricacy and the effort they put into recreating what these beings they've seen look like. You know, they put a lot of time and effort into showing the beauty of what they're seeing and venerate. In the West, because we don't believe they exist. I think we've simplified it down to this, what we call Ronald McDonald, let's say, which, whatever, man, say of that what you want. Here we go, more of the same. Look at these things. You can't even tell they're human anymore once they get to this level. They could just become a pattern and form. Yeah, very bizarre. This is during a voodoo ritual. Women spin around in these dresses and create multicolored vortexes. It kind of looks like they're rising out of it in some way. Look at this thing. Madness. Again, there's the S for the serpent on the skull, as you can see here. He's wearing a feather coming out of one horn, a horn, like a jester horn, let's say, or a horned beast of some kind, a chimeric human. large elongated skull, multicolored ribbons, patterns flowing. You know, these are cultures I'm showing you separated by thousands of miles, and in some cases thousands of miles of ocean. The likelihood that they would all represent the same archetypal imagery is very high when you understand that they're all worshipping the same beings and the same gods just all over the earth. But it defies it just being coincidence. You know, it's not a crazy concept what I'm talking about here. It's kind of obvious, I think. You know, in voodoo rituals, people dress up in a black and white pinstripe suits and wear this purple colored hat. You know, like the jester in my original vision I mentioned at the very beginning, you know, was black and white fractaled with purple overtones covered all over it. A lot like the voodoo witch doctor tries to venerate. Here he is with his serpent, his snake, a reference to, you know, the serpent bloodline of the Nephilim, you know, the serpentine nature. Venerating the same things, working with these demons for power, like voodoo witch doctors, you know, to curse people. They know full well what they're making deals with, you know, and they have made a deal for power in exchange, for a sacrifice for power, you know. Another African motif here, the Lhasa witch doctors with the straw-like, fur-like imagery, like we saw the tunnel earlier on. Yeah, I've lost them. Or have I? Yeah, they're gone. But you remember, guys, if you've been following me this far. Again, look at this, another tribe in Africa, the Tanzania witch doctors, who have this black and white fractal pattern thing going on with the horns or bug-like features going on there at the front. So human-animal chimera hybrid imagery like the Nephilim were. These things were psychedelic creatures, you know. Look at this here in Africa as well, this red fur motif going around like a lion's mane. You know, some of the Nephilim were called the lion men of Moab. You know, and they had half human, half lion-like features. It's a common feature as well in Egyptian culture too. But that looks clownish to me, like clown hair. You know, we have another Venetian jester mask here. And so look at how the spirit face is kind of coming out of the fractaled patterns, like it's peering through a veil of some kind of psychedelic beauty, you know. I think they're trying to tell us something. The sad clown. I can see why you're sad. These things, you know, you remember these guys during the plague, they would drain people's blood in the hope of getting the poison out of them, you know. Didn't really work. People died every time. And obviously we see the black and white imagery there, this quite ghoulish ghost-like figure. He is a hat man figure, and also he is a half human, half animal chimera hybrid. And these are elves and fairy symbolism, you know, again, not far off what we're talking about in terms of Nephilim or clowns. So here we have Quetzalcoatl again, this serpent human monster-like, dragon-like entity coming out of a flowery portal mane head of some kind, very bizarre. Quetzalcoatl again, the feathered serpent, so people venerating the feathered serpent with their clothing. How clown-like this actually looks down here as well. This looks just like the Chinese dragons of antiquity too. In Chinese culture here, we have Chinese demons and Japanese demons. The Fujian and Rajan, god of wind and thunder. Very clownish. This one has green skin, maybe more reptilian in nature. Big wide smile, wild hair. If you can see here as well, there's a slight discoloration in this line. It shows its head is actually that shape, long and thin. Long and wide going around the back here, and the hair is on top. So it had an elongated skull, just like we know the Nephilim did have elongated skulls due to what we've found. Here's another elongated skulled character in stories, a small character, the Sawaki Yukai, I think it says up there. You know, this typical imagery we see here as well. You know, this reminds me of this clearly inspired Aku from Samurai Jack. So if we bring that up quickly here. Aku, Samurai Jack. The Lord of Darkness and evil, you know, all things evil in the world. was inspired by this clearly ancient Japanese symbolism and artwork. What were they really referencing? Looks like a clown to me. That's what a clown would look like in some way here in the modern West. But this is an ancient Chinese image, probably the Nephilim. Here again. So it seems like, you know, there was a time where humans merged themselves with all types of animals. So here we have a cat human type image, you know, and it's very psychedelic colored as well, multicolored and fractal in nature. So I believe there were lion men as well as snake men and all those other types of features. But either way, it never fared well. Look at this giant represented here on an ancient painting. Disturbing, disgusting looking things. These are the spirits we're dealing with. So again, there should be some images here soon enough. We have these face changes as well, this culture in China, where they would rapidly whip this in front of their face and the mask would change instantaneously. The red bobble on top here, the red fur symbolism there again. They look very clownish, don't they? Jester-like, another culture. And I think this is a reference to the serpentine nature of skin here in, you know, African culture as well. Again, it's a very similar motif: white skin, red hair, psychedelic-looking colors. The string, the straw, the hair, the long flowing features, the multicolored patterns, the feathers, always showing up as well. This, again, straw bodies. Look how ghoulish these things look. Very weird, elongated. Look, they look disproportionate and bizarre, like the Attack on Titan ones. You know, here we are in Hindu culture. They always have these psychedelic veils or these hats on, some kind of headdress of some kind. Here it shows one looking like it has an elongated skull with psychedelic feathered patterns, a fractal matrix style image, you know, a spiritual element being manifested. Green skin, wide red mouth, psychedelic imagery patterns and colors. So this is something I was thinking about, lions and the manes. Here's a lion man I've managed to find. I'm not sure what this is from. Here's a symbol showing the lion man of different cultures, or Mithras. Yeah. So clowns, you know, have white skin. That mane, that hair, is that a reference to a lion's mane? You know, is that what that is? Maybe with the archetypal clown image we have today. So, you know, serpents have psychedelic patterns on their skin. It's not uncommon. It's completely normal for serpents to become in multicolors, like clowns wear their clothing today. Maybe Nephilim skin looks something like this. It was insane to look at, beautiful to look at, awe-inspiring, light reflecting, you know. The skin glowed. Perhaps it was pearlescent like this and had different shades and different lights. So they had many bizarre, colorful features in their physical form. Very clown-like. Polka dot pattern. The feathered serpent. Here's a serpent with wings with a lion head. The Chinese dragons of antiquity look just like Quetzalcoatl, don't they? Not much, very, very similar features. Different continents. The feathered serpent, the Chinese dragon. You know, the Indian Nagas, the half human, half snake beings that would lure men to their deaths for their semen. You know, I think in sunlight they had a female's body, but in the moonlight at a certain specific time they would look like a human woman, but then they would transform into the snake form once the sun rises again, and that's when they would devour the men they had had sex with, basically stealing the genetic seed so they can carry on their race. And that's what every Nephilim encounter story is always about. They're always stealing women and impregnating them or something like that. It's a very reoccurring theme. So clearly these things need our genetics to carry on. So they are genetic abominations. They don't have the ability to reproduce like we do. They have to be made. Yeah, a common imagery actually, the Naga of India. So yeah, obviously these gods then, which are manifested in their human form in some way as well, always have multicolored skin, blue skin, always worth noting, you know, was this literally what they may have looked like? You know, did they actually have skin like this and many arms, let's say? They glowed radiant, you know, because of their serpentine skin. The serpent's always being referenced with these gods. Snake there on the side of the temple they have here as well. So here's a good example of the many cultures showing all the same thing with blue eyes. Egypt, Sumeria, Peru, India, the glowing blue eyes. And as I showed earlier, you know, the clowns are often shown with their eyes having some kind of blue shadow. Obviously not all the time, but it was a good example. The blue shadow behind the eyes, the blue behind the eyes here as well. And this guy has the blue highlights there. The Queen of Hearts at the very beginning had her highlights. Yeah, check out there with blue crystalline eyes, the blue highlights around the eyes up to the eyebrows, so like they have big blue eyes. Well, maybe they actually did. Seems that way. So this is interesting. This is from Sumeria, which is one of the oldest known civilizations, supposedly after the flood anyway. And it shows half human, half serpent beings. It looks like this one is nursing a baby, you know. Look at these things. Is that too far removed from the way a serpent's skin can look? Red on one side, black on the other. The underbelly of a snake is often a different color than the top. So yeah, did they actually have skin like this? Is that why we have clowns imagery today wearing multicolored clothing? Because it's a reference to serpent skin. A reference to the lion men of Moab. Here's Nefertiti with her elongated skull, you know. Look at this character here. His features are not human. If you look close enough, they're elongated, they're thinned out. His neck is far too long to be human and straight. His mouth, very bizarre shape, but his eyes as well are very high up. His cheekbones are very high up. Elongated, pointed features, very serpentine in nature. And we know they had these bizarre skulls as well. Here's an example of some of the skulls. Here's Osiris with his large skull and green skin, another motif coming along. So this is the kind of what I'm showing here, I guess, is the origins of the clown imagery. It comes from the ancient past, really, and it's kind of just disseminated into what it is today. And people don't really understand where these symbols come from. They kind of have always just, clowns have always just been, right? You know, it's just what it is, you know. But there's a reason these things appear, and it always goes back to the ancient past. You know, there's nothing new under this sun, honestly. It's the more I'm kind of realizing that, I suppose, if anything. If we go along here, you know, I've got some other images. The carnival, I believe the carnival is a representation, or a circus as well, let's say. Anywhere where there's loud flashing music and multicolors and whirling pinwheels and merry-go-rounds and cycles and things just kind of overwhelming your senses at once. I think that is a fractal matrix realm, you know, kind of like a physical manifestation or representation of this spiritual world you can be in. And what is the circus but the home of the clown, the home of the Nephilim? So the fractal matrix is the home of the Nephilim demons, while the circus is the home of the clown. So I think there's a paralleled kind of, I don't know if that's intentional or just spiritual in nature, that synchronicity, that parallel, but it's still there nonetheless. You know, things like Cirque du Soleil, for instance, they have this act, and look at these characters, polka dot, multicolored, serpentine-like skin, perhaps, you know, but human at the same time. Another reference to the Nephilim. But they are circus acts, so they're part of a clown act, you know. I did some drawings once. Here's a drawing I did here. Yeah, this is kind of what I imagined them to look like. They have this long head and the hair would kind of curl over like jester horns on the side. Maybe they have this mohawk type thing in the middle. Maybe what the centurions of gladiators reference when they have their mohawk type thing on their helmets. You know, again, pointy features, thin lips, sharp teeth, long serpentine-like neck, pointy elf-like ears. You know, this is probably what they look like, and this is where the clown imagery comes from today. they probably had blood around their mouth quite a lot. You know, they had these big eyes, these huge eyes, like serpentine eyes that can see through whatever, you know. The skin could come in all sorts of colors. Maybe the whiteness right now, even though many descriptions of them do have white skin, other than the latest Nephilim, maybe the white skin clown reference is to reference the ghost-like nature as well. As we can go down with this, I'm interested to read through the comments soon and see what you guys have had to say and think about this. In this video game, Final Fantasy, that I mentioned earlier. Ooh, doesn't seem to want to let me open that image. Never mind. Not sure why it's not. We have these two characters, if you can see, called Zorn and Thorn, and they're twin jesters who do rituals to take magic from people. And it shows them here on an interdimensional portal, sacrificing a little girl, basically, with pyramids and eyes in the background. So a link there to Satanism and clowns and jesters as well being involved in the process. So that's something there. Now, again, guys, there's much more I could go down. I think we may be running out of time. I've been talking for a good hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to start reading through comments and see what people think. I'll take the screen share off for now. But yeah, that's just me showing you what I've been doing. Some of the thought processes behind where all this came from, what this idea is. Recently, I've released a video where a guy had got in touch with me to tell me his experience and encounter with these jester beings where they kind of tormented him. Already, that's one of my recent uploads. I recommend you go check it out. So far, it's had a great positive response, and I think it could help a lot of people. I really do. So now let me get this chat back up here. Oh, guys, wow, you've been talking for a while. Let me try and get back to the beginning and see what's going on here. All right. JJ Youngblood, good to see you, man. Larry Newbert, I think Larry's here with us. That's great. That's great, man. I hope you enjoyed that little talk there. Some Titans are people that transform. Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah, I think you realized after I said it. That's fine. Yeah, Attack on Titan is an interesting one, guys. If you haven't seen it, I'd watch it. Take it all with a pinch of salt. Obviously, it's there to brainwash you. It's very New Age inspired, I guess, but it's a good way to understand what kids are into these days as well, if anything. The Oni, Tengu, both Japanese demons, interesting too. They both look clownish. Yeah, the Oni, and yeah, they do. They have the red skin as well, don't they? So the Japanese demon, stereotype demon, even we have in the West, same in the East. Very interesting parallel. Abnormal Truth, good to see you, man. Shadow in the Mask, good to see you. Red Faction, hi guys, I'm a new subscriber anyway. I'm wondering what this channel is all about. Nephilim. I'm listening to another channel right now and have this one muted, but can see the visuals. Red, watch the series, too long. Yeah, I'm doing a series on the connection between clowns and demons. Idea that Nephilim look like clowns, man. Well, if you just watched what I just did for an hour and 15 minutes, I think I may have just answered that question. Nothing much I can say about that. But yeah, I hope you stay subscribed and check it out. You'll enjoy it, trust me. Red Faction, I don't know if you're trolling or not, but he seems to have a lot of questions, and that's a good thing. My series has the answer to all of those questions you just asked, so go check it out and you'll understand why I'm making the analogous link between Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels mating with humans, as you clearly show that you know here, and why they are related to clowns today. Go check out the series, or maybe listen to the whole beginning of this up until now. Kudos there. Hey, man, it's good to see you. Thanks for the comment recently. I hope you enjoy the videos. Abnormal truth. Be careful of ancient aliens. Yeah, man. Definitely, that's a deception. There's no such thing as aliens. They are demons. What a stereotype, eh? But no, they are demons. And we should avoid them at all costs, really. Yeah, definitely. Don't fall for the alien deception. When they come down and they promise, oh, we're going to help you ascend, you know, we'll make you become gods and aliens like us, and you can come to the stars and we'll explore other planets together. They're lying to you, man. They are demons trying to drag you to hell. Stay away. They've always been here. They're not from space. Hey, people, anyone else buffering or just me, says Kudos there. Sorry if it's been doing that, man. I don't think so, though. I think a lot of people are. June. The clown in Spawn, yeah, but I'm glad Abnormal Truth remembers that. So what are his sources? Well, that's the point. There's not really many things I can source to prove this. I think I'm kind of the first person openly kind of making this theory up, you know. And all I can do right now is draw on the archetypical imagery of ancient history and draw parallels to try and see if there is a connection. And I think I'm making a strong enough case with this archetypical comparisons of ancient culture symbolism to say, yes, clowns and the Nephilim are intimately related. So I am the source. Or I like to think God is the source, you know, because I kind of stumbled upon discovering these things. It's kind of like I was led to find this, you know, when we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, you know. And in spiritual warfare, you know, there's a good side, there's God's side, and he too is giving his people what they need to fight the enemy. Maybe this is what this is all about. I'm not sure. Paul, who were the sirens? The sirens were the women who lured sailors to their deaths with their song. So again, you know, Nephilim had sound powers, they had light powers, they had the ability to mess with people's minds type powers. They were superhuman, you know, but they were like half women, they were kind of mermaid, so they were chimera hybrids. And you know, fish, a lot of fish work with sonar and ultrasound, so it makes sense that they're half human, half fish. Cords could perhaps manipulate sound to manipulate the people around them or the surroundings, possibly, you know. Yeah, so sirens are a fascinating one. But again, they lured men to their deaths. I think they probably actually slept with them as well, if I remember correctly. So it's all about mating and taking the genetic material to pause. I think my phone just died. Paul, you keep touching on the word chimera. You did it today. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, chimera. I'm not supposed. It's not pronounced chimera, if that's what you're getting on. It is chimera. But chimera hybrid humans with animals is happening again today. If you want to look into it, they're doing it whether we like it or not. It's definitely worth looking into. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the end. You know, when it happens again. So if they're mixing humans and animals' DNA together again, we're in the times of Noah, guys. Paul, I want to send you a playlist. Where's the best place to send it to? Leave a comment on this video. I'll find it, even if it's in my spam folder. You can see the playlist too. That'll be wonderful. Or if you want to email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, I'll see it there as well. So that's understandingconspiracy, no capitals, just as it is, .com. Very simple. You can send me anything you want there, guys. If you want to get in touch or you want to talk about something or at all, that you can email me there at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. Virtue, yes it is. Kudos there, yes it is. It's hard to read the chat when you're doing a stream. Thanks for understanding Abnormal Truth. It's impossible to read the chat while I'm talking. I have to see. It seems like I have to appoint a time, a 15-minute window like now, let's say, where I can go through and see what people have said and thought. And then I'm going to open up the lines in about 10 minutes, and maybe we can do a last half hour talking with people. Larry, if you want to come on and have more of a talk about your experience, share with these people today what anything else maybe you thought about, we could do that as well. As I will leave a link in the chat box, and all you have to do is click the link and you can come straight on. I'll try and get through as many people as I can if they come on, or maybe no one comes on. Either or, I'll try my best to flesh out this show. Let's see what else we've got here in the chat section. Anything else? Cool, I'm in the UK. Nice, kudos. You're here with me up at 2:20 in the morning. Commitment. Talking about the weather in Manchester. Yeah, the weather is terrible. We get like 2 to 3 hot weeks, then it's always raining in Manchester. Yep. We live in the wettest part of the UK. It's always wet and dry. There's a massive lack of vitamin D in this part of the world. People suffer from massive vitamin D deficiencies, myself included. Whatever, you know. It looks beautiful here. I'll say that much. The nature is greener than anywhere else. So people are asking about Larry's testimony. So Larry, if you want to come on and give it in a nutshell, I'm more than happy to let you come on, man, and have a talk. That'll be fine. Like I said, I'll be sending the link in soon. I'll obviously announce it when it's there. Have no more truth. I did my first on-camera video today. Well, I'll check that out. Sounds interesting. Sorry, guys. I know it must be boring just to look at my face. But again, I need to get through these comments. I'm trying my best. So Larry's saying, after following his series on clowns and demons for 7 months and learning about my experience, you can only imagine my shock when he added Quetzalcoatl to getting a tattoo of Quetzalcoatl. Behind the whole thing is so strange, isn't it? The timing of all this, how it comes together, and how we all help each other and say the right thing at just the right time, kind of. Now, I don't think you can be condemned for getting a tattoo. I have tattoos, you know, which are questionable. I have a spider on my stomach, guys, if you didn't know already, from when I was 16. That was my first tattoo. And I was ideologically possessed that I have to get this spider tattooed on my stomach. I don't know why. You know, I've got the peace symbol on my arm up here as well, which is a pagan symbol of an upside-down cross with the arms broken. It's a witchcraft symbol. I know people think it means peace. I thought it meant peace, but I was an ignorant fool when I was a teenager. You know, I didn't know anything. So yeah, we have our battle wounds, I suppose. What is it but a wound? You know, a scar. But you know, you wear your sin. You know, you carry it. You carry your suffering to the end, just like Jesus. Follow that example, guys. You know, and don't be ashamed of your decisions as long as you've turned away from them, or at least understand the meaning behind what you've done. Don't live a lie, walk in truth. I think fallen angels manifest the number patterns people see. Fractal math patterns, shapes. Yeah, you like the 1111 thing, maybe. I don't know if that's demonic or godly or not. I think if God wanted to talk to you, he'd just communicate directly like he does with most people. I don't think he needs to communicate through weird number synchronicities. That seems more like something of the devil to me, personally. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I have the number thing as well, where I see numbers match up at weird times and strange synchronicities, getting double digits quite a lot. I don't know. I couldn't say yet. So yeah, we're just talking about the Masons right now and so forth in the chat. Interesting. People reacting. to my tattoo there. So that's horrible. I'm sorry. It is horrible, man. Yes, yeah. It is what it is, you know. I actually find the Pholcus phalangoid, or daddy longleg spider, one of the most creepiest, terrifying insects in the world. I'm surrounded by them right now in this building. They're all over the place. And I've grown accustomed to my fear by dealing with them, you know, and not killing them. Kind of come at you much. They don't move much unless you aggravate them. So I've learned to kind of appreciate the spider. And to get over my fear, I've tattooed it on my stomach is what I was thinking. So I can kind of accept it, that, you know, my fear is this spider. And fear is a very gut feeling. So symbolically, I guess it kind of represents something about me. But then you think, wait a minute, isn't it meant to be some kind of spider demon? So, I don't know. But either way, it's definitely molded me. Having the tattoo, it's taught me a lot. It's led me down the path where I am today. So I wouldn't change it for anything. All right, guys, cool. Well, I'm going to... Sorry, I got distracted there. Yeah, I'm going to put the link into the chat box now then. And you guys can hop on and see if anyone wants to talk for a little while. Whatever's on your mind, guys, this is your chance to share just that, okay? I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who want to hear what you're into and what you've been researching. Let us know what you think of the clown series. If you do come on, guys, I just ask that you mute your video that's playing right now, because you'll be put into a new video stream and we don't want to hear the delay in the background, okay? So there we go. The link is now in the chat box so people can jump on. Hi, John Chapper. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here. Cool. Looks like that tap would have hurt you, see. Yeah, man, it was like being repeatedly punched in the stomach with a needle. Like every pierce was like just... Because it's fat tissue here. It's not solid, and it was... The vibration behind it all, yeah, it was... I felt sick after having the whole thing done, to be honest. But, you know, whatever. You live and learn. I didn't learn then anyway. I went back and got 4 more. I have roses on my chest as well. I don't know why. Maybe it's a Lancashire versus Yorkshire thing, because my heritage is from Yorkshire, my Stobbs heritage, my name. But I live in Lancashire, so maybe that's what that was. Oh, sorry, guys, if that was loud, if you were in headphones. Maybe that's what that was. I don't know. What compelled me to do these things. I have a smiley face on my arm as well. Maybe it was the jester entity in me manifesting at the time when I wasn't saved. Again, the peace symbol. You know, I was a full-on scene kid hippie. Yeah, we all do stupid things. And my hair used to be peroxide blonde, bleached, all these type of things. I used to really care about my looks, like really care about them, to the point where I was so self-conscious of I needed to be skinny and thin because I was bullied a lot in high school for being fat. So, you know, I put myself through a lot of torture and starvation and things like that. It wasn't nice, you know, it wasn't nice. But as I got older and grew my faith in the God and things like that, I've kind of calmed out completely. I don't care anymore about looks, my own looks or things like that. I don't really care about me anymore. I respect me, you know, but what I do is less for me now. And yeah, I've gained a lot of weight since then, and I don't care anymore. It's like that. What bothered me then, I'm not even scared of this spider anymore. It's like I've become a new creation. I guess that's the best way to describe being saved. Okay, guys, like I said, the link is in the chat box if you want to hop on and have a talk yourself. I'm just ranting to make sure the time goes on. So I'm just saying words, you know, ignore me. You know, while I'm just saying words. What do you think of this mustache thing going on here? Now, at work, I have to shave normally, but they've changed the rules, and now we can grow a beard. So for the first time, I'm able to grow a mustache. I think I'll give it a go. And it started like Hi, Larry. I look like a World War II general or something, or a World War I general. I look ridiculous. But I think it's funny. I like it. I don't know what you guys think. Hey, Larry, if you just bear with me a second, I just need to turn your microphone down. Control room. I'll just turn that down there. Can you speak for me? How are you doing, Larry? Are you okay?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all. Did you catch the show? Have you been here the whole time?
I missed about the first 10 minutes. I had connection difficulties, so I'll go back and watch some of it. But yeah, for the most part, been here.
Good stuff.
All but the first 10 minutes.
Well, mainly it was just me singing anyway, so don't worry about that. You don't have to go back and see that.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I missed that.
That's it. Let me just check the levels as well here. Right, I think we're okay. There we go. People in the chat box, if you can let me know if you can hear Larry all right, that would be much appreciated. If he's too loud, too quiet. So, Larry, how have you been since our last talk then? What have you been thinking about? Anything you want to talk about? This is your chance. This is the therapy sessions, so go ahead.
Well, I guess no more or less, and what I've thought about in the past. I try not to dwell on it, too much. It was really nice to get a lot of that off my chest to somebody, or well, to you mainly, which helped me discover kind of what went on through my journey. So other than just wanting to write it down, go ahead and relive it one more time and write it down, because there are a lot of pieces. I mean, lots and lots of pieces, that were missed. Going back to the hotel room, even, when we left the hotel room, the world was going to end the next day. I didn't even talk about that. So I literally threw my gun in the trash can in my room. It's a nice hotel. And you remember that, Noel? She went and fetched my gun about 2 weeks later, because or a week and a half later, they were going to turn it into the police. And I mean, there were things that they told me the world was going to end the next day. Anyway, but I'm going to start writing it down piece by piece.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. You should do it. Obviously, no one expects you to remember everything that happened to you on that experience, so don't worry too much. Like I say, it was just a preliminary thing. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to have so much to talk about, but clearly you have a lot to talk about, and you are remembering bits. So yeah, I hope you do write it down, and feel free to come back to me anytime, and we'll get the whole story out there if you feel like you want to. Of course, don't feel compelled just because I'm asking. But yeah, that would be great. I'm sure the responses have been fantastic. People are really interested in hearing stories like this, because it's more common than any of us realize. Demons are real, and they attack people, especially the weak and those who want to turn away from the things that the demons enjoy. So yeah, that's what your story kind of really conveys, and it's what many people suffer through on a regular basis. So yeah, man. I appreciate
you mentioned something pretty strong right there, because I have to be very strong in the work that I do. And I have to lead a group of people. I travel throughout the nation, dealing with multimillionaires on car lots. But at that point in my life, I was the weakest in my life. I wanted to take my own life. So it was very, my body, my emotionally, spiritually, everything was drained to the point that, yeah, it was like, hell, I don't know what it was like, but yeah, it was the weakest point in my life. That's
just typical of a demon. Let's get him while he's down. You know what I mean? These are sneaky, dirty, filthy animals who have no morality or a reason to be good to us in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, they'll come at you when you're at your weakest. A predator, a wolf, goes after the weakest sheep or whatever it's hunting in the pack. It goes for the weakest, smallest, slowest thing, So yeah, that's just how any predator works, isn't it? So that's when we need to, be on our guard at the most. And when we are at our lowest moment, people should remember, you can ask the Father for forgiveness and help, and He will help. If the demons know you aren't going to do that, I think that's when they go for you. Yeah, I didn't tell you my experience, actually, something similar. I guess you call it near-death experience, but it wasn't. I wasn't in any immediate danger physically, but I had this moment where I came in one night. sat down on my living room sofa and turned on the TV. And funnily enough, I didn't want to say this because I don't want people to make a weird link like his videos cause demonic attack. But I had a round Saturn's Eye video on. And while I was watching this video by this channel on the large television, I started to have this darkness seep into the edges of my vision. And I felt this pressure on my brain, and the room started to kind of spin. And I was very disorientated in this moment, and it felt like I was dying, basically. This blackness was taking over all my vision. And I was terrified. I was frozen in fear. So I literally forced out of my mouth, Jesus, help me. That's all I could think to say. And then instantly, as soon as I finished saying me, my phone goes off, and the bring snaps me out of it, saying on my way. So I thought it sounded like literally a direct answer from what I had just asked from very, very bizarre moment. But that terrified the living daylights out of me. But I was dealing with a lot of problems then as well. A lot of guilt and addiction issues and things like this, and all sorts of problems, you know what I mean? Stress as well and things like this. And I think the demons attacked me in that moment when I was at a weak moment. But I said something which made them flee instantly. And that for me was my moment of this stuff works. This is real. Like, it's real. Like, and it's proven and tested. I've tested it myself. So to me, this is proof that that name is a good defense against these things. So that's the real weapons. This is spiritual warfare. So what are our weapons? Well, this is what's worked for me. To that kind of thing is, have you used the name of Jesus in any way against these demons? Have you thought about that concept?
Well, I mean, that was only, a 4.5 day experience that I have. Of course, now if I get anxious through any type of work or anything I'm doing throughout the day, of course, you kind of sit back and breathe, and you can just say the name Jesus, or Jesus, comfort me for just a moment, take me out of this. And it just his name alone. Certainly, I'm a true believer in that. During this time, during those 4.5, 5 days, it didn't work. But that's not to say it's like a magical thing. The entities were going to be with me no matter what. So, and everything was in Jesus' name, and I tried to rebuke, which I talked about, in the interview. But yeah, that's a daily thing. And if now I say daily, maybe every other, but certainly through prayer in the morning and prayer at night, it just makes the day better. And kind of like the glue that holds us together. Even I watched a video earlier today, that cell, I forget the name of the cell, but there's a particular cell, leucinin, or I forget the name of the cell, but it's even shaped like a cross, and it's a glue that holds the body together, kind of like Jesus is the glue that holds us together. So,
amen. I agree with that. That's fantastic. A lot of people in the truth movement, or the thing I'm in, obviously you're not really involved in the movement I'm in, but we have these Christian truthers like myself, who more often than not come from a New Age spiritualism type angle to begin with, and usually we all become Christian in the end because of the experiences we end up having, which are usually with demons. And it's these type of experiences I find in the life of Jesus which converted people to believe in him. He was casting demons out of people. No one had ever seen such a thing. This is incredible, I think because we're seeing such demonic activity rise again in the modern world, I think there's more of a call for people to talk realistically about this, just like they did when Jesus walked. Like, wait a minute, these things are here. We don't really know what they want yet. Well, some of us do, but most people don't. And a lot of people in the New Age world talk to them and communicate with the demons, but they believe they're like their spirit guides, their friends, they're there to help them ascending consciousness, or to give them special knowledge or something like this. Truth.
It's sorry to interrupt. I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit too. You say certain people maybe communicate with demons, so to speak. That last day when they were really trying to get me to come with them, I mean, for lack of better terms. I mean, they were literally trying to get me to go with them. I mean, that bad. Maybe I would have an open communication with them daily, and that would be frightful, in my opinion. Ever since that stopped, it's not like, for your audience out there, it's not like I can just go say, hey, Chuck or Shelly or John, or, hey, demons, hey, come back and visit me. Does that make sense to you? It's not like I can just go back and forth and talk to them.
You don't control them.
Yeah.
They're not under your control. Like I said, I think because you were under the influence, knowingly or not, of this chemical, I think what happened is, well, like I said to you in that video, well, they see you now, whether they can do anything about it or not. You can see them, so they're going to have to do something because they can't go anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere. So he's going to start to realize we're here. Known to you, didn't they? And they attacked you. Like I used the phrase, show you who's boss, and basically put the fear in you, like these things are powerful and they control me, and they're all over the place. And then obviously at the end they tortured you, didn't they? And then they started to love bomb you. This is something psychopaths are doing, not, actually look at the power we can give you, look at what we can do for you, accept us, accept us.
That was the very last day. Yeah, that was it was almost fun, like I told you, that last day. And
they can do that to you. They can make it seem great and fun. That's what psychedelic trips are for most people when they go to this realm. Fun. That
was just the last 12 hours or so. The first 3 or 4 days was hell. And but yeah, the last 12 hours or so, I thought I could have anything. I mean, literally anything I wanted would have been presented to me. And it was very tempting. Very tempting.
Yeah, well, it is tempting, isn't it? Great power can be gained by working with demons, but it's kind of what profit have a man, like this useless having power on the earth here now. You'll have no power in heaven, it's kind of just, it's a frivolous, prideful, pointless act at the end of the day. But people make that decision, and like singers are a good example. Singers who sell their soul to the devil. Well, what they've done is made a contract with a demon, a singing. Basically, now this musician can play the guitar incredibly well, or can sing powerful notes no one else can, and it can just have that edge against other humans. Well, it's power given because the person who made the contract with the demon will be sacrificing things for the demon, will be doing things on behalf of the demon while the demon uses their body. It's a contract. It's a give and take deal. A lot of people walk around with demons not knowing they have them. They're kind of like covert demons who would just want to not get caught. Who know full well they exist and have said, "Listen, do a deal with me." Humans who want power, and they exist. They do exist. I think this is why we have such a problem with a conspiracy today. The power hierarchy of the pyramid and all these. The people who are in all these societies do have power and great knowledge and wisdom, probably because they've made these deals. So it's terrifying when you realize this truth, But he who is in us is more powerful than them. That's the problem. Right? They aren't immortal. We aren't defenseless. We have a great power and authority in Christ to destroy them and send them basically, to a place they don't want to be. If we realize that, they're screwed. So as long as they can keep us in fear and making us think we're weak and pathetic, or not even believing in them, and we're not a weapon anymore. So it's kind of, I have hope, I have faith. We'll be okay. We'll win. People will realize eventually, because the more they manifest, the more people are going to start coming to our videos and realizing, oh, wait a minute, it is true. Of course it's true. For thousands of years we've known this. Of course it's true. For a short while. We've been put to sleep for a little bit, but everyone's going to wake up again, I believe.
I'll tell your audience tonight, I don't know how many's out there if they haven't watched the video, but like I said before, I wouldn't want anybody to experience that many hours. But if anyone could just, I'm not asking anyone to go out and try to, but reality of it, if they could only have 10 or 15 minutes of it, but who's to say what that is? it's an eye opener. I don't know into what. I'm still searching. Of course, this is helping me along tremendously. But it just you just kind of want everybody. It's not like a drug like you're going to get high on, or. And I'm not asking anybody to go out and take anything. Please don't. But just to witness that was incredible. It was terrifying, but incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody has any questions I'm going to ask, and I'll get off and start reading some of the.
Well, let's have a look. Actually, let's have a look if anyone does have any questions while we're here. Anyway, one day every knee shall bow. I've got random phrases and words. Also, Lucifer.
I did bow. I fell on my knees several times for almost 2 hours. We discussed that in our interview when my knees were bloody.
Yeah, like I said, guys, if you haven't watched the video already, go and watch it after this. He gives his testimony the best he can, obviously. Like I said, maybe we'll do it again one day. But some of the things he talks about, telling, of the tactics these demons, once exposed, will use against you. So I think it's definitely worth checking. Obviously, go check that out. But like you're saying, they made you worship in such an extreme way that your knees were bleeding, weren't they? That's incredible. Anything else you can remember, or do you want to retell that story while I look through the questions?
Well, the story's kind of long, but as far as anything else I could remember, that was one of the main things. Was the when I took the gun. Oh, on the way to the motel. Remember, I grabbed Noel and we went to the motel. We had to get away from here. I didn't know what was going on. That was after about 20 hours or so, not quite a full day. On the way, and we didn't know. I didn't know where I was going. We ended up about 150 miles from here. She's here helping me along. About halfway there, the pressure I was telling you in the story that kept pulling me down, and I mean, I thought my feet were going to break. I thought my waist was going to collapse. On my bed, on my cot here. I don't know if you remember that part. That's when I whisked her up and we left in the company car. And about halfway to where we were going, I didn't know where we were going. The beat and the drums and the music and the sound was so overpowering. And all of a sudden, I thought there was a magnet in the seat and in my feet. And my rib cage, everything was collapsing. The pressure, I was in pain, excruciating. I had to pull over, get out of the car, and then I wanted to tear the car apart. So go ahead and tell them, Noel. Yeah. I was about to start ripping the car apart to find magnets or whatever the hell was going on, because it was real. It wasn't a hallucination. I mean, this was physically, I could feel it. I don't know how else to explain it. And this is when I didn't know their names. This was early on. I opened the trunk and I started pulling back some of the side panels. I was literally about to tear the car apart. And she calmed me down, and I put her in the driver's seat, and I got in the passenger seat, and everything was fine. But they kept telling me, "Oh, this is going to be simple. We know where the hell you're going." And I'm like, "How in the hell is this going on? Who's following me? And what the hell? Something's been implanted." That's another thing that was in the very back of my very back tooth. You remember that? And I don't know how to explain it. And in my front left tooth, when we got to the motel, and it kept having little pieces of film come off of it. And I thought she witnessed an actual piece of it come out, but I think she was just agreeing with me because of the insanity of it all, just to try to help calm me. I don't know what the hell that was about, but those were pieces that I forgot, and it really wasn't, didn't know what the hell it meant. But I'm going to start piecing all these things together those aren't real important aspects, but it was just very odd. Before
Well,
we got to those.
You never know. It might be incredibly important, and maybe it's get it all down. Every detail counts when it comes to these type of. I believe anyway. So yeah, it's fascinating. So the feeling of heaviness you're talking about, where you're being kind of pushed down into whatever you're sat on, you kind of feel gravity. You really feel that gravity. It's like
yes, not pushed, but pulled. But
yeah, exactly. Do you know what it reminds me of? Imagine you look at a waterfall constantly falling down but never stopping. It's always existing as a fall of water. That's kind of what your body's doing. It's constantly going down, but it keeps its shape. It's a very weird feeling. It's like you're being all the atoms in your body are constantly being forced downwards. I've had that feeling before, like being pinned. People with sleep paralysis feel that as well, I think, when they're locked in their bed and can't move. They're still dreaming. It's a very similar experience, I think, to what you're talking about. And people see demons when they're in that state too, the shadow people in their room sitting on their chest and stuff like that. The old hag is a good example of that kind of demon,
No, I didn't know that, but it felt like my body was made of, I say my body, but mainly my butt and my feet, whatever was touching the floor or where I was sitting, it was like, they were made of metal, and it was like a heavy magnet just almost about to crush my bones. It was so severe. And it was a true pain. Now, I guess, it was real pain. But I can't tell you where it came from other than my mind, which I guess pain comes through your mind. There's some people that you can cut a gash into them and I guess they can control their pain better, but I don't know. It was very surreal.
It does sound surreal. It sounds very surreal. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I don't wish this upon anybody. I might sound excited about it, but I'm not. Like it's.
Well, I wish everybody could have 10 minutes of it. That's all.
Yeah, well, these experiences do have like positive aspects and negative aspects. I get it. As someone who used to trip regularly, trip balls on the regs, like I get that. How overwhelming being in that state can be for so long. After a few hours, it becomes like a mental toll, on you to be in that realm constantly. But to be on it for 4 days straight without sleep,
I didn't think that it was ever going to go away. So if anybody can imagine that, I thought it was just going to be the way it is. A thing in my tooth. They had these, after a couple of days in my back part of it, they would shoot out these little like bubbles of I don't know, full of liquid or something. And after about 2 or 3 days of that, it felt like that was getting raw back there. And they would just fill up the inside of my gum with them. And this sounds weird. But then I could just start pushing them out with my tongue. And all of a sudden it became comforting. And I don't know what that's about, but if you can look into something about that, and they were just like little seeds of nothing, water. I don't know.
Weird. I'm not sure what.
I couldn't capture any of them. So.
Was it physical or was it spiritual? What was it? Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, it was. I felt it physically in my mouth. I mean, there were actual little, and I felt the pain in my jaw there for even 3, 4, 5 days after, probably, or a week after, and I could still feel the thing on my tooth. Thank God, the 4th day or the final day or third, 4th, 5th. Do you remember? But I begged her to take me to the dentist to have this tooth pulled. This tooth pulled. You remember that? And she's like, no, I can't test it. Yeah, we're just going to get it pulled. My front tooth, mind you. Come on. Who the hell goes to the dentist and gets their tooth pulled?
I don't think a dentist would have done it. I think if I would have looked at you.
No, I know. Yeah. He'd have thought, and this is a dentist I've gone to for 25, 30 years. He'd have said, what in the hell, Larry? What are you thinking? Get your tooth pulled. is just get it out, whatever they've attached to me, just get it out, because that's their communication. That was probably the first 24 hours. That was before I even actually knew who they were. So,
well, yeah, you said you thought it might have been CIA or someone was tapping you or wiring into you or something at first, which is a natural reaction. Of course, you would think something like that. It's the logical reasoning, isn't it? Obviously, when things start to talk.
I was trying to make I was trying to make sense of it, logic of it, because it was real in my mind, and have always thought there may be ghosts or demons, certainly, and we know through teachings of the Bible that they have been here, but hell, I didn't think I'm going to run into one. So the first 24 hours, I'm not thinking demons have taken. I mean, they're acting like they are these secret agents. Well, you know, when I was hearing the drilling and the stuff in the motel, and and I could hear the machine outside. And another thing, when I'd go outside, they're masters of light and masters of illusion. The scene by the pool, every time I went out to smoke a cigarette, that I'd look over by the pool and they'd say, "Come on in, Larry, come on in." See, I couldn't see the entities. Okay, remember I told you I had to describe them and they had to answer, and that's how I described them. However, when I'd look over at the pool, there were two old people sitting at the, and these were vivid. I mean, they were there. Two old people with a golden retriever and a little kid playing with his ball. And the ball would roll over next to the gate, and they'd say, "Come on in, come on in." And I'd go up next to the gate, and I could see the dog, and they'd say, "Just come on in." And I was so confused because of everything going on. So I'd go back up to the room. I'd come back down to smoke another. I was smoking a lot, of course, which I am right now. 20 minutes later, the same damn scene and the same old people. What would happen is the old man would fall out of the chair, and it's like, "He's having a heart attack. Come help, come help, come help." That's it. I'm glad we're having this conversation. I can go back and write some of this. I'm getting chills now. And it's like, "Come help, come on in and help us," you know. And then when I'd leave, they'd start cussing me and cursing. This happened at least a half a dozen times that night, or more, every time I went down to smoke, because I couldn't sleep. And I'd start going to the car, and there'd be this fractal image of a skeletal woman in the seat of my car, and it freaked me out. I couldn't get into the car. Now, the closer I got to the car, it would disappear. These are the only things that I actually saw, besides the version of the tribulation saint that I told you that was in my bar area, which has no liquor in it, by the way. You know, that's it.
Good. I'm good. Glad to hear. That sounds good. Yeah, the repetitive.
I know those are probably taken off of everything that I talked about last night, but that's the reason I do need to start piecing this together.
Well, these videos help, obviously, because it's documented now. It's there, isn't it? You know, as soon as we finish this talk, it goes straight onto YouTube, so you can watch it straight away. It's uploading now as we speak. It kind of streams the whole thing onto it. So you can always go back, and if you forget, you'll remember because your own voice has said it now. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, the more you talk, the more fascinating it sounds. I mean, that whole repetitive thing you were talking about, the same scene over and over again, that's a very common theme in psychedelic trips, where the same thing will happen over and over again in your vision. Like you're on a loop, you're stuck on this loop of some kind of time loop. But it can happen. Yeah, but the time itself, you don't know how long it was for. It could have been actually just 10 minutes of you, or it could have been like 10 hours of your life. It's hard to kind of remember. But yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. That does make sense if you're in that state. Yeah, definitely. But it's like they were trying to lure you into, I don't know what they were trying to do to you, like pull on your heartstrings in some way, or make you make moral decisions in a fragile state. These type of things. Yeah, very, very strange.
Well, I'm glad I never opened the gate to go into the pool area. I'm kind of wonder what would have happened. I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe they disappeared. I don't know. But it was very strange that next morning, I went and had coffee, and the morning shift girl had got there at about 7, and I felt, and the spirits were telling me something about her, that her mom was sick, and this and that and the other. I mean, they would talk so rapidly. Especially, Chuck mainly. And I remember her the morning girl that came in here, and she was crying in the back. And Chuck said, her name's Teresa. And I called her by name. And the girl came out, and I said, did you find that odd? And she said, what? I said, is your name Teresa? And she said, yes. I said, where's your name tag? And she looked down, and she's like, well, how did you know my name? I said, I'm not sure. And I said, but so you're going through something pretty bad today. Yeah, I've had a rough night. And I just told her I'd pray for her, and didn't think nothing about it, and walked, went back up to the room. And I told Noelle about it. And even you remember when we went down there, and she still didn't have her name tag on. And that was creepy. I'm not a mind reader. You know what I mean? There was some reality about this. There was a lot of reality about this.
Yeah, I agree. No, well, maybe that was them giving you a hint of what they could do for you. Like, we can make you read minds. We can help
possibly.
We can help you know things you may never have dreamed of knowing. Someone else here has made a good reference to. You say you had these teeth problems during the whole thing, like your teeth were being messed with. The tooth. Some Shadow in the Mask has said tooth fairies. Obviously, fairies are Nephilim themselves. Nephilim hybrid.
That is a good reference, yeah.
And then we have the tooth fairy. So maybe the tooth fairy is another link to this, maybe what you were experiencing. Kudos added, ooh, interesting. Also, the pedophiles in America pull kids' teeth out. Jeffrey Epstein has his own fully equipped dentist chair on Lolita Island. Your testimony hits the strange psychological notes like deja vu, saying with Paul. Yeah. So that's something to think about. Groundhog Day, the film about being stuck on a loop, doing the same thing over and over again. Kudos is mentioned there. So yeah, there's a lot of weird synchronicities and things we're coming up with here as a community. I'm liking this. This is great. But yeah, no one has any questions because I don't think anyone's actually heard your testimony fully yet, if you get what I mean. But guys, yeah, go watch it and leave any questions on the video in the comment section. I'm sure Larry will find them and answer them himself if you have anything. But we'll definitely have to get you back on there. I'm going to have to start calling it a night now because it's been at the 2-hour mark, and I try and keep these relatively short now. But it's been great to have you on. Thank you for coming back on talking. I think the people will love hearing you talk. People in the chat section right now are loving this. It's great. It's great. And this is what we want to talk about more. The Nephilim need to be discussed. Demonic experiences need to be discussed more. Reality needs to be hit home for people who are still living in the atheistic, nonsensical world of fantasy. I'm going to call it what it is. The reality is we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, man. We wrestle against powers and principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. So I'm going to try to end it with that, guys. Is there anything you want to say before we finish up here?
Well, no, just in closing, I appreciate the time, and it's been real healthy on my spirit to be able to, to get it out and talk about it because, like I told you yesterday, or the day before, it's not something you can just go to your neighbor, maybe just a tight-knit group of friends. And really, once you start talking about it, even with the 2 or 3 close friends, I've got one friend that he will discuss it a little bit, but then goes off in another area, and we confide in each other very well, and of course, Noelle, she spent the entire time with me. Other than that, I don't want to have to go see. I'm not going to go see no damn shrink. I've got Jesus, I've got God, I've got that in my life. But to have this, to be able to come on and share things with, has really been helpful to me, and that's it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm thankful that God has brought us together, that we can help each other in this way. Because it's good for me as well. I need someone to talk to this stuff to about as well, Larry. People who are here listening to this right now need somebody to talk to about the things they're experiencing and learning and encountering in the walk and journey to finding God, I suppose. So yeah, if we can call it anything, I guess this is as good as church gets for us. Anyway,
so he's tired of hearing it.
Oh. What type of dog is that?
Yeah, Boudreaux. He's kind of tired of hearing it.
That's adorable. I love dogs. That's fantastic. All right, well, on that, we'll leave on a high then. Leave with a cute dog. That's fantastic. Thanks for listening, guys. Larry, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely have you back on soon. I'll always try and release a video in the day to let you know when the shows are happening that day. I didn't do it today because I've been very busy, but I try and keep you up to date. I'll send you a message personally, Larry, next time the next one's coming on. Everyone in the chat, thanks for joining. It's been a fantastic show. I hope you've enjoyed it. God bless you all. And I'll be back again soon, guys. Take it easy. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.